getting dark, but wanted to make a quick video. Had for the past 3 days a no crank, no start issue. Finally figured it out. It was the ground wire to the engine. So if you don't want to watch the rest of the video and hear what happened and what all I did, then you can go and check that at this point. But the ground wire, if I had my wheel off, you have to take the fender liner out. There is a ground wire that connects here onto the frame, then it feeds down, it connects to another part of the frame here, and then behind that to the left of the alternator is where it attaches to the motor. That bolt that was back there, that's the one that was loose. So the issue that I was having was my daughter drove the car to basketball practice at school. When she went out to go home, it didn't start. Couldn't get it to start. I went out there, kept trying, had my friend come out, who's a mechanic. He tried different things, didn't work, checked relays, obviously checked battery connections, things like that. Couldn't get it to go. My friend towed it back to my house, worked on it the whole day, trying to figure out what was going on. Decided that maybe it was the starter, and even if it wasn't the starter, at least I have a new starter in there. So got a new starter. Again, that requires taking the wheel off, taking the fender well out, installed the starter, and all I get is just, at least with this starter, I was just getting that machine gun click sound from the starter, but it wasn't actually cranking over. It wasn't trying to crank the engine. It was just it's just that loud clicking noise. And again, I thought maybe I had some wires that were corroded. We did something where we even took like a wire, attached it to the positive end of the battery, ran it down directly to the starter, because we were thinking, okay, the solenoid in the starter is working, but the starter's not getting power. So I ran a wire directly to the power source down here to try and jump it, thinking maybe it didn't get power. Maybe my power wire was corroded going through here. That didn't work. Played with all the stuff in the fuse box, the wires, all the connectors back there, ECU, played with all that. None of it worked. Not knowing, I was stuck. So I didn't know, maybe, you know, I had charged batteries, done all this stuff, didn't work. So my friend, he said that last night he was laying in bed asleep, and all of a sudden he woke up realizing maybe the battery or whatever, the power is not being grounded correctly to the motor. And so what we did today is he took a set of jumper cables, hooked it up to the negative side of the battery, then hooked it up to a spot on the motor, a ground on the motor, and we decided to, he had a thing where he could load test it, but with the load test, it showed that everything should be working, and so he told me to try and crank it, and it worked. So then we isolated it to that wire, that ground wire. So like I said, there's 3 connections. One that goes into the frame here, another that goes into the frame here, because the wire's coming down like this. And then after this point, it loops down beside the alternator, and it's kind of hard to see, and the bolt is a 12mm bolt. Everything else has been 13, but this is a 12mm bolt. It's a tight space. I just happen to have a really small ratchet. I can get my hand in and ratchet it down, and it worked. And it has worked now multiple times, like just consistently working now. And so my problem's fixed. Hopefully that might help some of you. If it's not a relay, or if it's not a dead battery, or whatever, if your starter seems to be fine. So there you go. Thanks, bye.